talk about best practices here.
Yes, I get that. Yeah, in Salesforce ecosystem, best practices are over there, for everything, not just for dashboards. But when we refer specifically to dashboards, generally speaking, I guess that we create reports and dashboards just because, but we don't think in the real need, or we don't have clear expectations between the stakeholders and the person who is building the report. So if you have clear expectations, you have a clear understanding of the needs, you have a clear understanding of the questions that you are trying to answer with your data, everything is going to run smoothly, and your users are going to enjoy your work with your dashboards or your reports. But if this part is not that clear, definitely you are going to struggle with a lot of complaints with final users, because they are not going to be able to solve their issues, and they are going to request another report and then another dashboard. And once you finish with those, they are going to request one more, and you will have a lot of reports that they don't use so often, and we start with that type of loop that it's not about efficiency in your org, and you don't have like really happy users. That's the problem.
You bring up a great point there, and this is a pain I've experienced on both sides. I've made the mistake of saying to someone, I need a report that shows this, or I need a dashboard that shows this, and then I get something and it's not what I thought. And I've also been on the flip side where I was actually the one creating those reports or dashboards where somebody said, I need this, and I built what I thought they wanted or what they told me they wanted, and it wasn't right. So I think it's important here to talk about, well, why do you want that? What's the outcome you're trying to get at? Because it's important to understand what the purpose of the report is, especially for the engineer that's building it, because they know the data probably much better than the person requesting it. And if they understand what it is, they're going to design it right the first time, or closer to right the first time. And you're not going to have, you go to a report screen or a dashboard screen, and there's a whole ton of things that no one's ever using because they were built before it was understood.
Exactly, that happens pretty often. And probably it's also about transparency, because sometimes the stakeholders, they require reports in order to join their report with an external system that it's not integrated with Salesforce.
Sure.
So
again, understanding that and knowing that that's the purpose up front will help you to create a better report or a better dashboard.
Exactly. So if the stakeholder since the beginning says something like, look, I need this information because then I'm going to work manually and I'm going to put all together. Yeah, basically you are going to provide like a more robust export of the data. Of course, that is not a best practice, but yeah, it could vary based on the business case. But the idea is to have clear expectations, because probably you, as a designer of the report, the creator of the report, you can try to build amazing things, but at the end, the user just needs a random report in order to create a pivot table, and that was it. Mm-hmm. So that is the most important thing, to have clarity on the expectations. Then we move to the next best practice, that is to select or to choose the best or the most suitable report type. When we talk about report types, I guess that it's one of the key pieces of your report. So we mentioned at the beginning, a report type is the combination of two objects, three objects, based on your needs. The thing is, it's not the same to have, let's say, accounts that are joined with contacts, or having the opposite, contacts joined to accounts, because for the data purposes, that could have different meanings. So when you choose like your report type and you are clear on your goal, you can create a report. Once you are creating your report, it's extremely painful to change your report. So the first step on succeeding creating reports or dashboards, especially reports, is to identify the key report type. And if you are not that sure, you can start trying and dragging the fields that you need. And it's just a random test, and you are going to say, oh, no, I need this field, no, and then this and this, no, it doesn't make sense. So if you notice that you are missing some fields, probably it's not the best report type for you, and you need to create a new one, a brand new report type that is going to cover your necessities. But you need to try. Sometimes when you are not quite an expert creating reports, you just select one random report type. You say, oh, I need a report type with account and contacts, and that's it. And you start trying to create your report, but you really need to understand if you need to check all the accounts that have contacts, or if your purpose is reviewing all the contacts that are associated with accounts. That it's another thing, and a huge different meaning talking about data. So that is key for our purposes on reporting. Then something that it's like quite obvious, but yeah, not everyone filters their reports. We need to segment and filter the data, even for the time of response of the reports. You know, this is going to improve like UI experience because the reports are going to run faster. So filtering and segmenting your data, it's always a win. Then we have organizing report layouts. This is important because you can have a lot of requests, tickets from your final users in production that they are trying to create a report, but they are not able to see the field. And when they go, let's say, to the opportunity, the field is there. They can fill out the field in the opportunity, but when they are trying to report on the opportunity object, they cannot see the field. So that is because basically that field was not added to the layout on the report type. So you just need to put that field visible on the report type, and then once you refresh your report, the field is going to be visible and the user can continue creating his or her report. That would be the way to handle this type of things. But you can save a lot of complaints if you consider that since the beginning. When you are adding new fields to your org, when you are creating new custom objects, if you consider in this type of details, since your creation of your object, you can save a lot of time, because this is about asking question. Okay, I will create this custom object for what? For this and this and this. Generally speaking, you always are going to report on the new custom objects that you are creating. So it's not just the requirement that comes from a new object, a custom object. It's also the question to, okay, how you are going to report on this object? What else do you need to relate? It's a lookup, it's a master detail relationship, what else? So that would be about the way that you are going to organize and put visible the fields.
And it's not just the objects, it's the fields. Because if I add a new field to an existing object, if I add a custom field, Salesforce is going to, at the conclusion of adding it, is going to prompt me to see, do I want to add that to existing reports? Is that correct?
Exactly.
Yeah. So you want to be careful because you may not always want to add that to reports. It may mess up an existing report. But more often than not, I think you generally do in a report, maybe not a dashboard. But I know that's something that you've got to think about. It's powerful because it can save you a bunch of time reworking reports or dashboards. But but you need to be careful again when you're doing it.
Exactly. That is a really, really good point, Jim, because there is the other way that happens as well, that is really common in the Salesforce ecosystem, that it's like the autopilot, you are creating like custom fields or custom objects, and you are going to say, yes, put all the fields visible. So you don't add that well thought or that type of analysis when you are doing your things as an admin. So everything is going to be visible for everyone. And that is not quite a rule, because it's risky. And we are talking about data and real data.
It goes back to the planning and, when you're designing a report or when you're designing an object or adding new fields to an object, take the time to learn how that data is going to be consumed and utilized. And in order to do it right, so you're not creating more work for yourself later.
Exactly. And that could save a lot of time and also avoid a lot of pain, and probably future issues with your production or